Right then, it's time to talk about David De Gea. Probably having one of his better seasons, I would think, in recent years. But all's not perfect, especially if Manchester United want to play a different style of play. Goalkeepers require much, much more than shot-stopping ability. And we're going to drill down into the data and have a look where David De Gea actually stacks up and is he actually doing his job as a goalkeeper. So David De Gea's shot-stopping exploits are undeniable and he's genuinely world-class in that area. He has the second most saves made in the league. He is outperforming his XG by nearly 11 goals, which is the best in the league by far. He saved 3 out of 4 penalties he's faced this season, which is bonkers, especially when you remember what we were like in penalty shootouts. No keeper has saved more. However, in the modern game, distribution, passing, sweeping, playing out, especially by elite top-end teams, is part of the game now for goalkeepers. It's gone far beyond just being able to catch stuff when it comes at you. And I would even argue some of the stuff that's required for a goalkeeper, such as 1v1s, claiming crosses, those sorts of things are lacking in De Gea. Now, there's rumours about a brand new contract for him. And I'm just going to put it out there that rather than extending who is already the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, it might be time for United to look elsewhere. Now, we've got bigger issues in the team. But if we're evaluating the whole of Manchester United, and that's what I've been doing these last few weeks, we're looking at strikers, we're looking at midfielders, we're looking at defenders, we're looking at ways that this club can be improved. You can't just keep playing the same old, and just expect nothing to happen, nothing to improve, nothing to develop. You have to look at all the component parts, from the management to the coaching staff to the backroom staff to everybody involved on the field, and you have to say, can this be improved and how can this be improved? And if you don't set some metrics out, some benchmarking, you'll never know whether something is good enough or not. And that's what we're about to do today. So, statistically, let's start looking at what De Gea is all about. So he is well below par in pretty much all the main goalkeeping metrics, except for that shot stopping, which, as we've already mentioned, is completely elite. 0.22 defensive actions outside the penalty area per 90 is the second worst in the league. This is where he stacks up compared to everybody else in the league. He is not a proactive sweeper. He is a bit of a liability if your team's going to play a high line, and that sometimes is the mitigation. Counter-attacking teams that are going to sit back and low block, you expect their goalkeepers not to have a lot of involvement because there's no requirement for them to leave the box, because even some of their defenders aren't leaving the box. But when your team plays a high line, your goalkeeper has to come off his line. How many times have you heard people say this about De Gea? He doesn't come off his line. He really doesn't come off his line. He has rushed off his line 23 times in the Premier League this season, which is the second least in the league. Only Dubravka has rushed out less, and that's with 17. He's in the bottom 2% for crosses stopped percentage, which is one of the worst goalkeepers in Europe at claiming crosses. This isn't just an eye test thing. There are metrics out there for these sorts of things. His long pass completion is 47%, which is the worst percentage in the league for goalkeepers who've attempted 15 or less. These are keepers like Mendy, Lloris, Alisson, Ederson, etc. He is at 74% pass completion for accurate forward passes, which is lower than Mendy, Lloris, Ederson, Alisson, etc. as well. His accurate pass forward is actually the 6th worst among goalkeepers who played more than 20 Premier League games. Top goalkeepers have something called a pass progression value. It's the value of a pass in terms of how progressive it is, using the ball up the pitch and increasing the team's chances of getting an expected goal after a pass. Alisson is 0.14. Ederson is 0.12, Lloris is 0.09, Mendy is 0.09, and De Gea is 0.07. Bottom of that list. Top goalkeeper value in terms of expected goal build-up. This is the total XG of every possession that they have. He's less than half of Ederson, Alisson. He's below Mendy in this. Mendy plays out just to the side, a little bit like you see De Gea doing to Lindelof and Varane very often. He's playing out to the side to the likes of Thiago and that. And if anyone thinks this metric is weighed better towards attacking teams, his expected goal build-up is lower than Pickford, it's lower than Fabianski, it's lower than Raya, it's lower than Meslier, it's lower than Sanchez, it's lower than Foster, it's lower than Schmeichel. And these are just some examples so you can kind of get the gist of it. He is deficient in every area of being a goalkeeper, and I would argue even communication on top of that, except for shot stopping. And I think that it makes him a little bit of a match of the day, a little bit of a highlights player, because you see some of the phenomenal saves. And as we said, he's outperforming his expected goals in terms of the saves he is making. But is he costing us by his inability to play out? Is he costing us by his reluctance to claim crosses? Is he costing us with his inability to sweep? All of these other things, if you're looking for a modern day elite goalkeeper, he does not have. Are we drawn to what we can quantify and see? He saved that. Brilliant. He pulls off some fantastic saves, but is it enough for a modern day goalkeeper? I think at this important juncture now, contract renewal time, Manchester United have got a decision. There's probably not a massive resale value in him, especially when you consider the wages that he's on. So I wouldn't look to be securing his contract just because you've got a potential resale value, although we do know that that is a Glazer tactic. They like to secure these contracts so there's money on the spreadsheet, essentially. But if we're trying to build a football team, is what we should be trying to do, you have to ask the questions, is David De Gea good enough to be our goalkeeper? Is he going to be our goalkeeper in 5 years? And if he is he good enough? Can we add these things to his game? If we can't, we need to go a different direction. You cannot expect a team to have a high line and be playing out with the way he's currently playing. Now, what's strange is when he did first come, and maybe it's been under certain coaches, maybe certain coaches pushed things into him. I'm not talking about managers, I'm talking about goalkeeping coaches. When he was here under Eric Steele, he had a nice little ping on him, and he would drop it out to someone on the right side, on the right-hand side at fullback, and drop it out to someone on the left-hand side at fullback. And he did it with his head up, and he did it with confidence. That's eroded out of his game. Do we need to look at a new goalkeeping coach? Are these things, shots, claiming crosses, sweeping, things that we can add to his game? He isn't doing them right now. But is he incapable of doing them, or is he just not doing them? That's what I'd like to find out, because if he's capable of doing them, we can massively improve what we're getting as a goalkeeper. If he's incapable of doing them, then he's incapable of being Manchester United's goalkeeper going forward. Get in the comments. I want to know what you lot are thinking. If you had to replace him, I want to know who. And if you don't think we should replace him, can you justify his position in some of these statistics? See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.